Hello, I am Sri Lebetkin, the rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring that little belly thing so you get notifications when new videos drop. And we need to talk about Doctor Who. I need to talk about Doctor Who. It's been months since the season finished, and I still am processing it through my head because I hated it. I hated it with every fibre of my being. And I've loved Doctor Who my entire life. I've loved every era of it. I always can find something good to focus on, no matter of what era. And there's been some pretty ropey eras in the past, but until now, until season 11. And I really wanted to love it. I thought I was going to love it. It took me weeks. It was at least till episode 5 when I went, oh my god, this is really, really bad. So why did I hate this season of Doctor Who? Let me count the ways. Well, firstly, the plots were very, very simplistic. It was much more like a children's show than I think it's ever been before. The villains were terrible. They were paper thin, with little thought put in most of them. Like the big bad of the season was taken down by a grandfather who had survived cancer. That's not earth-shattering, world-domineering villains. That is not your B-list. That's not your C-list. You are well onto the E, F, G list. I just, like, if it's a Doctor Who villain that I could probably deal with, then it's not much of a villain. The characterization of the Doctor was just horrible. I know Jodie Whittaker was advised by Chris Chibnall, the showrunner, to not watch any old episodes so she'd come to it fresh, which was, maybe it could have worked, but it didn't. The Doctor just never knew what was going on. She didn't know who the villains were, didn't know what their agenda was. She just didn't know how to deal with them. I mean, Jodie Whittaker said she proved that a woman can play the Doctor. No, you haven't. No, I still think a woman probably could, but not on the strength of this performance. Firstly, listen, I don't want to be cruel, but Jodie, go to a stuntman and just learn how to run convincingly. That's really one of the most important things you need to do to play the Doctor. You need to be able to run up and down corridors. And you didn't convince me. You looked like you were scared of the sonic screwdriver whenever you held it. You looked like you looked like you didn't know what it was or what to do with it, and you were unsure of it. You didn't convince me that you were the Doctor. No, actually, you did. You convinced me you were the Doctor for about one scene in episode 2, as that spaceship was crashing and they're talking about jettisoning part of it to survive. Yeah, that was the entirety of you convincing me that you were the Doctor. Other than that, no, not at all. And you lacked authority. The Doctor lacked authority. She became a bus driver for the companions, or the fam. Oh my god, I hate everything about this. But worse than lacking authority, you lacked moral authority. You were a virtue signaller. I think that's what your Doctor was most concerned with, that people saw you to be a good person. And I'm sorry, I think virtue signaling is what people who are not so moral do when they want to feel good about themselves. When they want to feel like a good moral person, they virtue signal. And that's really the core of what was wrong with season 11. It was an exercise in Chris Chibnall virtue signaling. Once the season dropped and the fan backlash started, and there is a fan backlash, my guess is that Rotten Tomatoes score is probably pretty accurate. I think 75% of the fan base are extremely dissatisfied with season 11 for varying reasons. Some of the ones I may have spoken about. But virtue signaling is the core of what was wrong with the season. And Chibnall said, Doctor Who has to have social commentary, which I kind of agree with. But he said, this is the thing that's most telling. He said that, it's got to be about these times that we're living in. So my question is this: what are these times we're living in? Does anybody watching this actually know anyone who doesn't like someone because of their skin color, or who they want to sleep with, or their ethnicity? Because I don't. I don't think anybody does. And if anybody does feel that way, they're going to keep quiet about it, because in Western civilization, that's completely socially unacceptable in every way. And to put that into context, this podcast is called The Rabbi from Another Planet. I'm actually a real rabbi. Well, I may be defrocked, but at one point I was a real rabbi. which means I'm a Bible thumping creationist, and I completely subscribe to that Old Testament morality. Now, let's say you have a different moral system to me, and you make different decisions about life. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It just everything is based on the quality of someone's character. I think, and judging somebody by their sexual preference or their ethnicity, it's just sheer bigotry, and it's just not how I was brought up. And I don't know anybody else who was brought up that way. I don't know why we got to scream that it's okay to be black. Really? Like, who has a problem with somebody like skin color? What I think really is going on when you peel it all back is that a couple of elections, big elections, did not go the way that progressive liberals would have wanted them to go. And now they think the world is ending, the sky is falling, they think fascism is rising and encroaching, and it's just not. Nothing's happening. The world isn't falling apart. I mean, it's falling apart because you guys have gone nuts and you're screaming at everything. It's not. There's so much more that unites us than divides us. We just got to chill out. And I think the reason that the one thing that I think most people agree was the success in the season was the character of Graham. And I think the reason Graham succeeded, not because he was an older white man, but I don't think that really hurt. But I think he reflected the outlook of the vast majority of people, that he didn't judge people on the color of their skin, but on the content of the character, and the crushing truth, the horrible reality that Chris Chibnall and the people like him really have to grapple with, is the character of Graham could have as very easily voted for Brexit or voted for Trump as anybody else. And that's just, and he's still a decent person. He's still a moral person. He was actually the moral center of the season. So the season just was a failure on every level. Jodie Whittaker wasn't the female action hero that she hoped to be to inspire a generation of young women, because she wasn't the hero of the series. That really was Graham. Graham had the hero's journey, had the emotional arc, had the moral arc. It just failed on every failed to entertain. It failed on every single level. So if you like what I had to say, thank you very much for sticking around and listening. If you didn't like what I had to say, thank you even more for sticking around and listening. As I said, like, share, subscribe, ring the little belly thing to get notifications, and let me know your feedback. Thank you so much. This has been Srila Bekin, the rabbi from another planet.